Carl Brown is with us once again. He's got the international newspapers this time, and Syria grabbing the headlines for the ongoing violence in Aleppo. Commentators already anticipating a post-Assad future.
Yes, indeed. So this is in the Financial Times, and they're quoting a woman, the widow, really, of a dead Free Syrian Army rebel who says, listen, we won't forget about the West forgetting about us at the end of all of this. So opens up with a very dire warning, and it's Anne-Marie Slaughter. She's a former political official in the Obama administration, and she admits that there are a number of risks involved in getting involved. You know, it could eventually become a quagmire. Getting enmeshed in this kind of conflict could hurt Obama's re-election chances. Sending in arms without any kind of UN approval would go against the spirit of international law. Sending arms to the Free Syrian Army could kind of hold the West as a hostage to fortune, because they don't quite know what direction they'll take. It's a bit of a wide church, as it were, of opponents of the regime. And lastly, Ms. Slaughter says sending arms on the one hand from the West will simply involve the West in a kind of proxy war, because all the while we have countries like Iran and Russia arming the Syrian regime.
So The Guardian is talking about another story here. They're talking about the women of Saudi Arabia enjoying a bit of a victory outside the sporting arena.
Yes, now the Saudi Olympic Committee had resisted calls for a long time for women to join its delegation. Now, there are a couple of reasons for this. The main body of resistance comes from its long conservative tradition. The Ministry of Education bans physical education for girls, and the Guardian kind of sums up the reasoning. It says that this is the Guardian kind of trying to read into all of this, and it says that it would lead to corrupt morals, and it would lead even to lesbianism, according to the paper. It would damage female health. So all of this would lead to a kind of slippery slope where, the practicing of sports within these arenas could then lead to women practicing sports in public, and, we all know the trouble that might cause in Saudi society.
Exactly. Now, you're going to stay in London. London's empty streets in the Independent. This is surprising.
Yeah, can you imagine that? Yeah. I'm not sure if you're familiar with how familiar you are with London.
Quite familiar, yeah.
The West End is obviously a busy spot. Now, all of the activity has been transferred east to Stratford, which was once a bit of a wasteland. And so now the headline, empty capital tells the world we're still open for business. Now, business is booming right now in Stratford. But at the moment, we have stories of restaurant sales being down. We have restaurant turnover down 60%, shopping down 11%. So some of the reasons that the Independent cites for this is the repeated warnings of chaos across the media in the run-up to the Olympics. The transportation in particular, tourists being scared off, basically, of being unable to get anywhere. And a lot of people are cited as just avoiding the capital altogether.
Depends which bit you're in as well, I suppose. The New York Times taking stock of presidential candidate Mitt Romney's tour abroad.
Yes, now Romney has just returned to the US. His last stop was in Poland, but the Times looks at his stop in Israel, because that's obviously a crucial country as far as the foreign relations of American policy goes. But also, Romney made a bid to donors, and it was a bid to convince the evangelicals and the Jewish voters that he would be a better friend to Israel than Obama would be. And he says, he would take a strong stance against Iran, that the Obama policy in the region is failing, and he basically supports also a capital in Jerusalem, and he would pledge to move the U.S. embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. So obviously that was supposed to all be music to the ears of the Israeli voters, or the Jewish voters rather, but also in particular to the big donors in the U.S., one of whom is said to be willing to contribute $100 million. So that's supposed to all have gone down well with them. But of course, it's going to be hard, the Times says, for him to dig out of these kind of policy commitments if ever he should be in office.
Carl Brown, thanks very much. Carl Brown there with the international papers here on France 24.